So I'm gonna go for one more. Feelings and the truth behind them. Why the fuck not? And I think this has been inspired. I really think this is like one thing I wrote a long time ago, but one that's interesting. Love versus addiction. Yeah, it's not now because I already tore this paper, so this is gonna happen. Feelings and the truth behind them. Uh, the truth behind feelings, man, are the best way I can actually describe it is the stronger your feelings, the feelings are a reflection of how the world, how you see the world, and how it's revealed to yourself. And I was like thinking about it yesterday, and I think I wrote something cute here. Did I? Did I? Somewhere, man. Come on, man. But anyway, so the truth behind feelings is the fact that they are void of reason, void of logic, void of like the understanding that you only get out of feelings. I feel, I believe, I feel, I believe. So I want to say, maybe that's the best way to actually approach this. I want to say that my that the interaction is always is always best when you just allow them to express themselves to you, which is hard because for us, I think, as human beings, our mind kind of chooses a method of communication in order for us to explain what the world looks like to them. For me, I think like I very much think in words, other people think in pictures, maybe some people think in sounds. And the truth is, I feel like some people actually think in feelings. They kind of like, it's more of an intuitive kind of thing. But so if 5 days ago I was actually like having a conversation with myself, and I was like recording the voice note of my thoughts, and the thought was literally like, it doesn't matter how much you reason because I could explain something as best as I could, but the feeling is always going to kind of like be triggered by some form of proof, tangible proof. And even though the conversation that I'm having is actually one that's kind of like interacting on a darker level, and the reason I say darker is because like normally your feelings are based somewhere that's not really having a lot of like light shed on them. And that's the true need that you have that's kind of like expressing itself and motivating you to do all kinds of things. So the central need that's developed in you throughout your growth period, interaction with people, just decision making processes that you went through, mistakes, man. It's like, you know, I'm at the stage right now where I'm reflecting on a whole lot of things that I kind of like were just oblivious to when I was a kid. And back then, I think I was like 100% pro, I'll do whatever I feel like, which was amazing from a feelings perspective because I was always expressive. But then at that point, like, when does it? What does it take for you to kind of like not feel like doing something anymore? And then eventually, it's you're gonna have to look at yourself and go like, when I was feeling up, positive, high, strong, energetic, all these kinds of like words to describe why I was following my feelings. Does it make sense that when I'm not feeling them, I kind of like just destroy whatever it is that I could have been doing? There has to be the balance, that I call the objective balance towards the subjective reality. And there has to be that kind of like engagement between like reasoning. And at one point, feelings kind of start like showing feelings, at least for me, start showing us a bit more that they start showing us a bit more how vulnerable we are. They start showing a bit more truth than we want to handle. They start showing a bit more uh, emptiness. I don't want to use the word emptiness. I want to use incompleteness. Incompleteness. Because at one point you were just confident for no fucking reason. It's probably because like your hormones were all over the place. And when your hormones come down, the first thing you start doing is kind of like start realizing that you you're practically an empty bullet. And as an empty bullet, You did make a sound, man, but like the impact you did wasn't really that well. And again, I'm talking about an impact with your own self. I'm talking about an impact with your own like reality. Is like when you're looking at something and it starts kind of like feeling gloomier or weaker, or you could actually do more, or you thought you were doing something, but then when the results came, or when society kind of like exposed your reality to the truth that it is, or the world exposed your reality to the truth that it is, and then you're looking at it as if it's kind of like an incomplete version of what was there in your head. So then, where your feelings were showing you to be the truth weren't really the truth, because the reasoning or logic or like approach, and just like objectively, just because you felt good about something doesn't really mean that it was like something worth actually feeling good. Maybe at the time it made sense, but at the time it served a purpose, and most of those things kind of like are just like fleeting purposes. When consistency is put to the test, when consistency is put to the test, when feelings are put to the test, it's the consistency that actually like shows you the end product, the end result of whatever you were actually doing, whatever you were basically trying to like trigger, whatever you were trying to like work through. And so at a younger age, it was like full of like all kinds of like emotions, feelings, passion, and then die out. They don't die out. You kind of like, because you're not really guided in a consistent way by your own self naturally. You're following feelings. And then when the feelings kind of like start diverting to the other direction, you either follow that and you like enter like the whole abyss of what the fuck am I doing with myself? Or you actually go back to like more of a reasonable approach. But then you've collected a whole lot of feelings that reason doesn't really reach them, because like, feelings need to kind of like come out for them to be real. And words and reasonings and logical approach have to go in for them to become real. And so they're completely like opposing in direction. Like one has to surface for you to understand what it truly is, and the other one has to sink in for you to understand what it truly is. And every single step you take has to be kind of like trying to connect the thing that's surfacing to the thing that's going down, or at the very least, like the thing that surfacing, the emotion that's surfacing has to change your logic, and whether for positive or negative. Because if the emotion that's surfacing is like a bit more on the sad, you can't do it, then your logic has to kind of change, but then it has to be believed. It has to go in order for you to be able to believe it. And then from there, you'll be able to kind of like develop a bit more of an understanding towards yourself and push up, 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 in order for you to kind of like find more what are the things that you would want to like be doing, in order for your feelings to kind of like be okay with it. It's like they your feelings are based on a whole lot of things that have been built in the past, and they are the product of you consistently being exposed to certain things, doing certain things, and going through certain things. At this moment, your words might make sense to you because you've developed a certain like thought process and a logical process for you to actually approach things. But the reality is your feelings are too far away from your logic, too far away, deeper. I want to say deeper from your logic, because like your feelings are stored in your actual body, while your logic is stored in your mind, and that's basically the depth of going in. And maybe like there's something about the whole like coming from consciousness all the way down that like the Hindus and Buddhists talk about. Maybe that's something worth researching. We'll take a note of that. But like going down from consciousness. We speak about that as well in meditation. It's like actually like transcending into your own like depth to find yourself. And yourself is basically what generates all these feelings. So the truth behind them is maybe that they are a representation of your true self. And it's funny because like If you feel it from your mouth, it's disgust. If you feel it from your heart, it's anxiety. If you feel it from your gut, it's intuition, right? And so, like, your body is literally a representation of how is the truth behind you. And it's my favorite experiment that I've seen, like, over the past five, and I would say 5 to 10 years, was like one where, like, there's a person that literally holds the hand of some guy. And he goes, like, I want you to, as much as you can, push upwards, push upwards. And the guy's pushing upwards. And he goes, like, think of the time where you were loved. And the guy, basically, the hand was still there. And then he asks him to think of a time where you weren't loved, where you were, like, feeling frustrated. And instantly, the force needed to push the hand down was a lot weaker. And so I feel like the truth behind feelings is your body being represented. And they are literally every single interaction you have with the world, and every single kind of, like, light or angle that you can see the world is always represented by your body. So you, as your feelings, are literally just there for you to understand yourself more. But and the only way you can understand yourself is by taking the time to, like, observe everything your body does in order for you to be in harmony and to create the reality that you want in front of you. Okay? That is truth behind feelings.